Big Questions with the Dead Milkmen. Each week while working on the new album, the Dead Milkmen ask each other a question.
Kill the rabbit, kill the rabbit, kill the rabbit. Kill the rabbit?
There are always people complaining about drag, queens coming in and reading stories to children. I'm thinking, spent half my life when I was a kid watching Bugs Bunny running around in drag. And there's, I'm a decent person.
Hey everybody, this week on Big Questions with the Dead Milkmen, I'd like to talk about rock operas. Do you like them or hate the concept? Do you have a favorite rock opera? Do you have your own concept for a rock opera? And I'll ask everyone to keep their pitches reasonably short. I'd like to start out with a definition of the term, which I've got from Wikipedia, which is a rock opera is a collection of rock music, songs with lyrics that relate to a common story. Rock operas are typically released as concept albums and are not scripted for acting, which distinguishes them from operas, although several have been adapted as rock musicals. Use of various character roles within the song lyrics is a common storytelling device. From my research, there are other earlier uses of the phrase rock opera. Some say that the first rock opera album, at least the one that was first known to me, was by the band The Who released the term, you use the term to describe their album, Tommy. And Tommy came out, I guess, in the late 60s, early 70s. I wanted to mention that my parents actually saw The Who perform Tommy in the original Electric Factory here in Philadelphia. My father's younger brother was a huge fan and convinced my parents to go with him and my uncle's girlfriend at the time to see The Who perform Tommy, which apparently was a pretty impressive performance. And I'm pretty sure that other than my parents coming to see the Dead Milkmen, that's probably the only time my parents have attended a rock concert, that I know of. But let's see. Another popular rock opera would be Jesus Christ Superstar, which is a favorite actually of my wife, Melissa. And in fact, Ian Gillan of the band, the singer for the band at the time, Deep Purple, was tapped to sing the lead part of Jesus on the original recording of the production. He apparently was asked if he would like to be in the movie version of Jesus Christ Superstar. And he had a list of demands. Two demands. One was he would be paid $250,000 for his performance, which seems reasonable at the time. But he also asked that all the members of Deep Purple would also be paid the same amount of money because they would have to cancel their tour for him to participate in the filming of the movie. So he declined, or the producers declined, and they got somebody else to play the lead in the movie. I wouldn't say that I'm a huge fan of the genre or the style. The one that I will admit to liking when I was back in high school was the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Originally, it was a stage play that was adapted and turned into a movie, and it starred Tim Curry in the lead role, and it featured Meatloaf as the character Eddie, and Susan Sarandon was actually the character Janet. Damn it, Janet. And in high school, I went with friends to see the movie at midnight movies many times. It was just a entertaining, fun thing to do when I was in high school. But anyway, I know, Rodney, you're not into it. But as for an idea for a rock opera, I was going to suggest there are two Milkmen songs that might lend themselves to further development into a full-blown rock opera. The first one I thought of was I Dream of Jesus. So the main character goes through a tough journey growing up, dealing with his mother who finds the bottle in a dumpster and believes that Jesus is in the bottle.
Boy.
But, you know, it goes through a journey. He goes through a journey through life, but it ends in a happy ending because he gets to go to the prom with Gina Davis. So I think that would make a good rock opera. And then the other one I think maybe to Dead Milkmen fans might be somewhat obvious is the song Stuart. Has a built-in narrator. There's lots of interesting character development, and it even includes aliens. So those are my answers to the question. I have a couple of others that I wanted to list, but I'm going to wait until the end until everybody else goes because I don't want to step on anybody's toes. There are several others notable rock operas that I wanted to mention tonight. So I'm done. Thanks.
Well, I've told this story before. You guys have heard it, but when I was younger, my friends and I thought Rocky Horror was a musical, not a rock opera. I got to look into that.
Well, that's the thing. There's kind of a cross pollination between the two.
I'll get to that sort of nonsense.
A lot of cross.
Yeah. When I was younger, my friends and I used to go up to Westchester to a movie theater there. They had, oddly enough, it had a spring in the basement, a natural spring. So weird. But they used to show midnight movies there. So we'd go there and see like Eraserhead or Pink Flamingos. And it was booked for weeks showing Rocky Horror, because the drama students from the college would come up and so my one friend, we went to see what Rocky Horror was, and we hated it. And my friend Smitty, who's passed on, he went back. He was a very tall guy, rocked himself back against one seat, put his feet on two seats in front of him, and just put the weight on him until he pulled out of the floor. And then this one guy went, "Hey, what are you doing?" He's like, "I'm ripping seats out." And the guy goes, "If you do that, they won't let us have this next week." And so he was like, "Yeah, that's the idea." And this guy, who was a tenth of Smitty's size, goes, "I should kick your ass." And without missing a beat, Smitty went, "Don't dream it, live it." It was one of the greatest moments of my life. All right, so I'm gonna postulate, and we all know I can successfully argue things, that there's never been a rock opera ever. If you have a rock opera, what you've got is maybe 30% rock and roll music, if you're lucky, and then 70% other crap. It's ballads, it's show tunes, because rock and roll does not lend itself to an opera format. Having the Ramones come out and sing a bunch of 2-minute songs, even if you had different characters, you could string it together, but it just doesn't quite have an opera feel to it. The most famous rock opera, and Dee mentioned it, Jesus Christ Superstar, which is a rock opera I love. I've seen, I think, every version of it that they've filmed. So a really, really excellent thing. But of that, there are only 1.5 rock songs in the entire thing. The first one, Heaven on Their Mind, and we'll put a link to Hot Breakfast doing that. They also do Jesus Christ Superstar in like 8 minutes, but that's a really good song. That opens it. That's a rock song. And then when we get to Damned for All Time, it's half of a rock song. It's like the guy's like, "I hadn't thought at all about my own reward. I really didn't come here of my own accord," which is great. That's, it's almost like hardcore. And then all of a sudden it's like, "Just take the money, you can buy some new elbows," whatever the lyrics are. But that's my problem with the rock opera. You have rock, but you have to start padding it out with these sort of normal show tuney stuff. So somebody always has to come out and explain, sing a little song where they explain everything. There has to be a duet back and forth, and it just does not work for me at all. But I do suggest, if you do catch the latest version, the one with John Legend of Jesus Christ Superstar, it's worth it just for Alice Cooper as King Herod. Alice Cooper is my favorite King Herod ever. Zero Mostel's son was good. I've seen Rick Mayhall as King Herod. I myself have tried out for King, or tried to get the part of King Herod in a couple of productions and have been turned down every time. Often told, like, just don't look the part of King Herod. And I'm thinking, Alice Cooper does. Alice Cooper nails it. If you see the John Legend one, the guy who plays Judas is fantastic, and Alice Cooper was born to play King Herod. It is so good. Now, I'm going to get ahead of the comments section, as I often do, because I know it's going to be in the comments section. But Rodney, what about Repo, the genetic opera? Yes, Repo, the genetic opera, has some rocking tunes in it, but again, it has the same problem. It has those things where you have to slow down and explain everything. I love the look of Repo, the genetic opera. It has that, what I call punk surgery look. It looks like the first Angel Spit album look, the stuff on there look with the crazed punk surgeons. It looks like, if you play Malifaux, folks, it looks like McMorning's Crew. Now we're going to show you some pictures of McMorning's Crew. These are indeed the McMorning Crew that I own, and no, you cannot borrow them. Don't even avert your eyes. Don't even look at my McMorning Crew. But I love that aesthetic. And yeah, they have that aesthetic in Repo, the genetic opera. I just wish the songs hit harder. So I'm just going to recommend do this. If you're a musician thinking about writing a rock opera, and that's only because a bunch of idiots told you, you're a genius, you should write a rock opera. I have nobody around me like that. I would say this, do you like Marat Sade? Marat Sade, it's a play with music in it. The songs don't necessarily have anything to do with the action. They don't necessarily relate to the action. When I was younger, Channel 6 used to show Marat Sade at least every other month on Sunday afternoon, and my family would sit and watch it together. And I saw you can watch it for free, folks, on YouTube. So right after you're done watching this, go watch Marat Sade and report back in the comments section about what you thought about it, and watch it with your family if you can. Recreate my Sunday morning or Sunday afternoons as a child. So now I'm just going to move quickly ahead because we talked about pitching ideas. I'm going to go through them as quickly as I can. The first one, Joseph Gordon-Levitt and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Sells itself. I'm selling tickets to that while I'm sitting here. The next one would be Last Stop Nowhere. This is the rock opera version of the punk rock episode of Quincy. Again, sells itself. Here's one. Go the hell back to Brooklyn. The residents of Philadelphia rise up and just drive these Brooklyn assholes out of here and back up to where they came from. Take your music with you. Take your typewriters. Take your old-timey baseball. Stop intruding on our music scene. Get the hell out. You'll be much happier back home in Brooklyn. Everybody rises up, and the whole theater at the end rises up and sings a song about, just, all right, you assholes, go. Brooklyn is a horrible place. Philadelphia is a wonderful place. We're tired of being occupied. There's a song right there for you. And then my last recommendation here would be, I just call it pocket pool. I have no other reason to call it that. Now, all the sort of action happens before the curtain goes up, because I think this is important. Everybody in the audience gets like a libretto, and it says, this is what's happened. There's this guy who's a real naive sort of idiot. Maybe he's like a missionary or something. He's grown up really sheltered, and he moves his family from a small city to a big city. And his kids aren't popular. His son doesn't have any friends. And he hears some kids talking about, how Billy Johnson's always playing pocket pool. So the guy walks up to him, because he doesn't know what that is, and says, oh, yeah? Well, I hate to brag, but in the city that we moved here from, in our hometown, my son was the pocket pool champion. That's the libretto. So there's no pocket pool wizard song or anything. All the opera is just people laughing at the sun with different music behind it. And each character's everybody laughs at him. Guidance counselors, the clergy, the school nurse, his parents, everybody. It's Boy Scout leaders. Mr. Rogers comes back from the dead, and Dos Ex Machina. We lower him down, clouds and everything, and he does he just laughs at the kid. But that's all they do. Each character laughs, but the laugh tells us so much about that character. Why they're laughing? Did they have anything in their past? And that would be fantastic. We could because people have different laughs. So that is the way I'm selling that one. I'm probably not going to wake up tomorrow and find a check in the mail for it. But, that's good. And again, I just want to say one last thing about Repo, the genetic opera. I don't mean to malign the talents of Mr. Paul Sorvino or Giles from Buffy, aka the Taster's Choice guy. I think they're both excellent in that movie. All right, thank you.
I'm not that into rock operas in general, but I do like Jesus Christ Superstar. I've liked it for a long time. But maybe Rodney's right. It doesn't have a lot of rock songs. But there's a punk rock opera, at least as labeled by Green Day, called American Idiot, which does pretty much rock all the way through. It has one ballad, Wake Me Up When September Ends. But I think that qualifies as a legitimate rock opera or punk rock opera. And I also think it's one of their best, if not best, albums. There's also The Wall. That's considered by some people to be a rock opera. And there's some rockin' songs on it, but it is pretty, I don't like it. I think it's pretty lame. Tommy itself has a lot of rockin' going on in it. It's not one of my favorites. Would you classify Quadrophenia as a rock opera? That maybe rocks even more.
I like the film more than the film was not really the Who doesn't appear in the film or anything. It's more of a dramatization of the story.
Sting is in the movie, so you know it rocks.
Yeah, right.
But that would be my favorite is Jesus Christ Superstar, and if that doesn't count, then I would go to American Idiot. But I'm not that into rock operas, and I have absolutely no idea for rock concepts for one.
We should call our next album American Epicac. Just came to me. Or make a rock opera.
Yeah, I'm not like huge rock opera or even regular opera fan. I like the idea of like the constant singing though. I think opera was cool when it started because it was like a combination of everything, you know, they were doing stage and music and even like comedy and, you know. But I also would say Jesus Christ Superstar, and I grew up listening to the soundtrack album. My sister and I would sometimes listen to it on long drives, and after a while we made up our own lyrics to it that were pretty vulgar. I think it was, the working title was Jesus Christ Porno Star, but so yeah, and the other one was Rocky Horror Picture Show. And again, my sister, and I'm here in her house, that's weird. My sister and I went to that in the 90s, and if I can find it, maybe I'll scan in a picture of how we were dressed going to it. And it was a blast because it was very interactive. People throwing toast and rice and shouting out lines before. Yeah, I don't know if that's a rock opera though. There's a lot of not singing.
Yeah,
Music.
The first thing that I was talking to my friend about this, and I was like, I can't think of any rock operas. And she was like, "Oh, Rocky Horror Picture Show." I'm like,
there is dialogue in true opera. I mean, it's not always, you know, singing from start to end.
I think
There's
Jesus
storytelling.
Christ
Storytelling.
In Jesus Christ Superstar, there's pretty much no just regular talking. There's always some kind of. I love the overture of that so much. Ideas. I thought it would be cool to do an instrumental opera.
Wouldn't really qualify though.
But I also thought it would be cool to do actually have one character that sings everything and everybody else speaks. So the entire, like, you know, operas could be up to like 4 hours. Like the main character, everything they're saying, and it doesn't have to be like into songs, but everything they say is like a song. Everything. And then the other people are like, oh, that's really cute. And then after a while, they're like, shut up, stop. This is based on true events. Fictional characters. So operas, yeah, that's what I got.
Okay, you guys kind of brought up most of the ones that I thought of. I wanted to mention at the end. Yes, Green Day's American Idiot, the Who's Quadrophenia. I think I like the film more, and Pink Floyd's The Wall. I don't really care for that whole concept. The one that you didn't bring up, which I think has a lot of rocking songs, is Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Thought about that.
That's a pretty good one. So anyway, yeah, thanks for your answers, everybody. It's an interesting genre. I think under the right circumstances it could work, but it's all a matter of taste, I guess. Anyway,
I would like to add honorable mention the Kinks Arthur or the Decline and Fall of the British Empire was a pseudo, or like it started out as an idea for a rock opera, and then the Who did Tommy, and the Davies Brothers were like,
nice.
so they just made it a regular album. But I would be curious to see that. And maybe there is a version of it somewhere.
I don't know. All right, thanks for your answers, everybody. Let's move on to recommendations this week. I would like to start out by recommending you check out my electronic music over on Bandcamp. I will provide a link to that. Specifically, I'd like to recommend you check out my new 5-song EP called Stratum. It's also now not only on Bandcamp, but on all the streaming sites. So check that out. That's my recommendation.
And for me, kids today, huh? Am I right, fellas? They come running home from their jobs in the mines, they throw their coats on the floor, and then they're just watching TV. I call it the idiot box. What can we do to get them to pick up after themselves? Well, how about this? The Pazuzu over the door coat hanger. They can hang stuff up on it, and it's got the character Pazuzu in it. Children love Pazuzu, who you might know from the 1973 blockbuster movie and Catholic propaganda, The Exorcist. Kids love Pazuzu. So right there you go. They're going to want to hang their coat and see Pazuzu's smiling face. They don't put the Johnson on him on this one. So I heavily recommend the Pazuzu over the door. They hang on your door, and then they can hang their coats on it when they get home, and it makes them happy. Speaking of children, my wife got us a subscription to Night Flight channel, and I was watching New Wave Theater, which is always great. They had Chris Genkel's Pocket Surgeon, and if you people wonder why I say gherkins all the time, it's because Chris Genkel used to say it. But here's the thing: in the episode I saw, I'd forgotten about this band. There was a band called Unit 3 with Venus that was comprised of a mother, a father, and their young daughter. And this band is amazing. They're decades ahead of their time. The music they're making sounds like the cold wave music that a lot of people listen to now that I really enjoy. It's really awesome. But this little girl singing a song called Scott Baio. And this was back before Scott Baio, we found out was a turd that just wouldn't flush down the toilet and go away. But the song is fantastic. I'll put up the video to their appearance on New Wave Theater. It's really, really good. And because I don't like to mention old stuff, I'm not a nostalgia person, fairly new stuff, and I've been talking about this for weeks, but my radio show, the 3-hour 10th anniversary extravaganza, is finally available on demand. So we will put up a link to the extravaganza. All right, thank you.
Now I would also like to recommend Dean's new album or EP, 5-song thing called Stratum. I find it very soothing, enjoyable. It's kind of ambient, soundscapey, and I like it.
Cool. That's it. I mean, that's it.
That's it.
Don't badmouth Dean's album. It's good.
No,
That's all I got.
Come on. I mean, I know he paid Joe to plug it, but I'm plugging it for free. All right.
You still
I could recommend a movie, actually. With a if you don't mind paranormal and clairvoyance driving the plot line, which I know might annoy some people, but I enjoyed it. A movie called The Black Phone, which I recently saw, and it's now
The Black Phone. Yeah, it's
now on demand on streaming. But what I liked about it, it's very 1970s. It was shot using equipment that would have been available in the 1970s or so. My boyfriend told me, I don't know. I didn't read that myself. But I don't know, I just thought it was a fun little movie. A fun little horror movie.
I would recommend house sitting. If somebody goes away, it's like babysitting, but there's no baby or anything. All you have to do is remember to turn out the lights, lock the doors, replace snacks or any kind of beverages, restock,
Have you found the sex toys and porn stash?
You know, Dean, I didn't actually search for that in my sister's house.
It's his sister's house. Oh.
I just assume it's there, but this is the one I was telling you, Jesus Christ porno star. So, and took me to Rocky Horror. So, big older sister. So, that kind of influence.
I'm sorry, Dan's older sister.
But you know what? Also, the Punk Rock Girl, the musical. Let's recommend that because that's not a rock opera. But hey, it's a plug.
It doesn't really tell the story of the song though at all.
And nobody had anything to do with it in the band. But it was,
Had nothing. I didn't even go to the thing.
I just because I wanted to hear what you thought about it.
Yeah. Well, that was an exciting episode.
Well, thank you very much for your answers.
Yeah. Thank you.
Question.
What was the question again?